If you pay a visit to your local farmer's market, in addition to a lot of good, fresh, locally grown food, you're likely to see something else: a lot of gray hairs. The latest figures we have, which are from the 2007 census, say that the average principal farm operator in the U.S. is 57.1 years old, and that number is rising steadily year by year. Why? Put simply, today's farmers are aging faster than younger people are, shall we say, coming into the field. In fact, in just the 5 years from 2002 to 2007, the number of principal farm operators over 75 increased by 20%, while the number of those under 25, already tiny, shrank by another 30%. Overall, the number of farmers 55 and up increased significantly, while the number of those under 55 decreased significantly. Clearly, this is not a trend that can continue forever. If we want to have farmers tomorrow to produce our food, we need to find ways to bring younger people into the profession today. San Juan Island, in the Puget Sound about 75 miles northwest of Seattle, is a relatively prosperous, mostly rural community that's experiencing these problems and finding some hopeful solutions. Longtime residents may be aware that the same people who were providing fresh, locally grown food 20 or 30 years ago are still right there on the job today. Take, for example, Jim Lawrence, who owns and operates Thirsty Goose Farm.
Let's see, I came to the islands, it was 35, 36, 37 years ago, 72 or 3, I believe. Moved into my teepee, worked at the cannery. The island had thousands of bunnies, and I shot bunnies, ate nettles, ate potatoes and onions, and not much else. And just lived really close to mussels from the shore. This house was built for very little money. I think I moved in at $800. A lot of trips to the beach, finding salvaged lumber. But it's ended up being a warm and dry place and raised my children, and now there's a grandchild. What we do today is I've pared it down to 2 greenhouses and about 1,500 tomato plants, which are all sort of gourmand, high-end heirloom tomatoes, which I sell locally at a farmer's market, pretty good price. That I can do along with 500 apple trees and a herd of sheep by myself.
But if a young Jim Lawrence were to come to San Juan Island today, he'd find it almost impossible to repeat what Jim did in the early 70s.
When I have kids come by and say, gee, I'd really like to work on an organic, sustainable farm, and you've got the place, and can I work for you, is do you have a car and do you have a place to live? I think the numbers are, if I worked for $4 an hour and bought land at $1,000 an acre, round numbers, that you would now, at $40,000 an acre, need to make $160 an hour.
Young would-be farmers who aren't making $160 an hour may be able to get started by leasing instead of buying.
Because I own land and I'm getting a little bit worn out, having young people leasing, coming and learning what I do and moving on is a great idea. There are land banks and conservation groups around the island who hold land in perpetuity for open space and agriculture, and I'm on some committees to help work out leases with farmers, and I know many of the 60-year-oldish farmers are looking at those kind of alternatives to keep their farms going.
One of those 60-year-oldish farmers is Jim Sesby, who owns and operates Heritage Farm.
Well, I still have the desire of a much younger person. I just don't have the strength or whatever that I used to. And so what I'm trying to do here is kind of set things up so that other people can come here and work and experience what we've got to offer here. I kind of see myself as a facilitator or something like that. I just kind of put all this stuff together, and then I'm hoping, and so far it's worked really well, that other people will come here and be drawn to it and want to take over and do it themselves.
Heritage Farm has formalized this arrangement in an internship program that allows people to learn organic farming while being provided with everything they need to live, from food to housing to spending money. It now appears, however, that this successful arrangement could be threatened by a regulatory environment that doesn't seem to recognize the value of the education and support that the farm provides for its interns.
Labor and Industries is doing an audit. We have to provide all kinds of documentation about the number of hours our apprentices and people have worked, and my philosophy is somebody comes and they want to come to the farm, they want to learn sustainable, organic, small-scale gardening and farming. I feel that the educational value is part of the value of actually being there. And when people come, they have a really nice place to stay. They get to eat all the food that they want that's produced from the farm, and we also provide some staples too. And Labor and Industries, as far as I can tell, doesn't really consider the educational value or the compensation of goods and lodging.
They're giving these people a great education. These are these young, vibrant, excitable, great people that they're giving an education to, and L&I has somehow or another fit them into this enormous corporate modus and saying you have to pay minimum wage, it's a state law. Well, there you go. It just does not apply in this application. These people are getting room, board, and a stipend and education. I pay for my child to get all of that. So they're actually, those kids are doing better than my kid.
They forced me to come to this farm. Yeah. I'm locked there in a cage. I can't get away. No one I know is interning on a farm for the money. It's for the educational value behind it.
Another approach to transferring food growing skills to the next generation, and one that is hopefully immune to regulatory problems, is the community garden.
Because I am doing a food breakup in the church, it just sort of happened one day. We were just talking about using the extra cardboard from all those boxes of produce and mulching them out here and just, having a field that someone could grow some food in. And the pastor and his congregation had been trying to think of a way to do something for the community, because that's part of their religion and part of, how their church works. So when this came up, they were just like, oh my gosh, that could be a community garden out there. And I was thinking of all the people that I've been overhearing how much they want to be growing food.
Let's do rows of beans here. Let's do one row here. Let's do another row here. And let's do another row here. And let's do another row here, okay?
Okay.
And then you're going to space them out about that far, okay? And then we're going to plant them about 1.5 inches deep, okay? Mm-hmm. 1.5 inches deep. So you might do this. You might just make a little hole.
What? They have a little bit of, I think, something coming up right here.
I'd be surprised if those are our bush peas along that road. I'd be surprised if they were up so fast.
There, I see one with 2 little leaves going out like this. Right here.
I think the bush pea side will throw out bigger primary leaves than that.
And what do you think these
They'll
are?
have primary leaves about half the size of a dime.
These are leaves about that big?
Yeah.
Dad, can you hand me a bean? We also have something over here. Can you hand me a bean? We also have something over here.
That's grass.
Dad? Can you help me with that?
Yeah, you want to shovel some in and I'll go it?